Merry Christmas, you filthy animals! And welcome to the holiday special and season finale of My Dad Listens to This. I'm Juliet, the daughter,
And I am Kevin the dad.
and the artist that we were covering probably would not have approved of the use of my language, although Joe Pesci might have, because for our holiday special slash series finale, we are talking about the classic Christmas album White Christmas by none other than Bing Crosby. We've covered Bing before on the show, so Dad, what do we need to know about Bing in this album specifically?
Okay, well, we need to know that, yes, it's that time of year yet again, and who better to usher in the season, which, okay, at this point it's only 10 days away,
Yeah.
than Bing Crosby. And as Jules mentioned, check out our previous Bing podcast for his bio and a collection of non-Christmas songs.
Oh, that episode was really fun.
Oh, I'm glad you like it.
Yeah.
Okay, so since we've done a Bing bio, we're gonna concentrate on this album's history, because originally it was called Merry Christmas, and it was released in 1945 on Decca Records as 10 songs on 578 RPM records. Now, the 578s would be sold in one package that kind of resembled a photo album. Hence, this was a record album, and now you know why they're called albums.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, the songs had been previously released as singles, with one of the songs being Bing's version of Danny Boy, which was not a Christmas song.
Huh.
Now, in 1947, Decca issued a second edition of Merry Christmas, this time with only 8 songs on 478s. Danny Boy and Let's Start the New Year Right were omitted. They were newly recorded versions of White Christmas and Silent Night that were cut in March of 47, and we'll get more into the re-recording of White Christmas a little later.
Yes.
Anyway, in 1948, Columbia Records introduced the LP, or long player, and everyone in the music industry switched over to this format. Now, in 1949, Decca released the 8-song version of Merry Christmas as a 10-inch LP. In 1950, it was released again, but this time as a 45 RPM box set.
Hmm.
Then, yes, there's more. In 1952, Decca released a 2 RPM set, 245 set, with 4 songs on each record. In 1955, Decca released a 12-inch LP version as the record company's Deep 6 to 10-inch format. This version contained 12 songs and is the version that remains in print to this day.
And nobody else touch it.
Yes, well,
Oh no.
there was some touching.
Great.
Anyway, according to Wikipedia, after the original cast recording of Oklahoma, the 1955 version of either Merry Christmas or White Christmas has been continually in print longer than any other album in the United States.
Well, that makes sense to me.
Now, in 1963, an enhanced for stereo version was released, which means, yeah, fake stereo. Eventually, MCA went back to the original mono version because fake stereo just, it just sounds thin, and they knew it, and so they made good on it. Anyway, MCA had merged all their labels, of which Decca was one, to one name, MCA Records. Now, in 1986, Merry Christmas was transferred to compact disc using the original mono mixes. Yay. Now, Universal Music Group, who now owned MCA, changed the album title to White Christmas because I guess they thought it's Bing's most favorite song, most famous song. Why not call it that instead? And there's also like brand recognition. Hey, I'm looking for White Christmas. The CD's called White Christmas. I'll buy it. Anyway, it was remastered in 1992 with a reissue in 1995 and then once again in 1998, which is the one that's currently available at present on CD. Now, in 2004, the RIAA, the Recording Industry Association of America, certified Merry Christmas slash White Christmas 4 times platinum, which is sales of 4 million copies. Now, in 2014, Geffen Records, which is under the Universal Music Group, or UMG, issued a newly remastered version for vinyl. It was a limited mono version that faithfully duplicated the 1955 album design right down to calling it once more Merry Christmas. And I kind of wish they had done a CD version, but can't have everything. Now, as for me, I saw White Christmas for sale, brand new, I think for like $5 somewhere. Could have been Newberry Comics more than likely, or just someplace because you go to the Christmas CD section or music section, and a lot of them you can get like for dirt cheap.
Mm.
Um, the packaging leaves a lot to be desired because the CD booklet is just 4 pages. The first is the album cover page,
Mm-hmm.
while the inside just lists the songs without even songwriter credits, and the back page is just red.
What?
With it's just red,
Like a Rothko painting?
like the color red, yeah,
Yeah.
with the MCA catalog number in a 1998 copyright, and that's it. But what was I expecting for $5? I was expecting more than that. Anyway, um, the way that they configured it, it's almost like a concept album for the 12 songs that make up White Christmas.
Mm.
Side one, or the first 6 songs, are mostly traditional slash solemn slash religious carols, and the second side, or songs 7 through 12, are more lighthearted and contemporary.
Mm-hmm.
Now, John Scott Trotter and his orchestra provide the music for 9 of the 12 songs. Now, John Scott went on to work with Vince Guaraldi on every Peanuts special
Oh, wow.
from 1966 to 1975. He started off with It's the Great Pumpkin, Charlie Brown, and ended with You're a Good Sport, Charlie Brown, which aired on October 28th, 1975, one day before John died of cancer.
Wow.
Now, Vic Schoen and his orchestra provide the music for the other 3 songs on which the Andrews Sisters are featured
Oh,
with
okay.
Bing. Because Vic worked with the Andrews Sisters for nearly 20 years from 1937 to 1957. And I don't know if it was like a package deal, like where the Andrews Sisters go,
He
Vic and
followed.
his orchestra go.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess Bing didn't have a problem with it because Vic also worked with Bing. So I guess it just worked out for everyone. So let's just jump into this.
Opening track, Silent Night. I love Silent Night. At its heart, it's a lullaby, and that's why I feel like Bing's version misses the mark for the first half. Because while his voice is lovely and the backing choir sound angelic like a church choir, the dynamics are too loud. Baby Jesus is not going to fall asleep to this. But then in the second half, Bing becomes more, well, tender and mild. Musically, it's beautiful, but it misses the tone a little bit. Still better than Stevie Nicks'. She sounds like she's singing a dirge and the record company is forcing her to do it. Plus, she takes breaths at odd places that don't make sense and feel like interrupted sentences. And we don't need the vocal improvisations, please keep it simple. That's why I love the two-set violin cover as my favorite version. That one you can relax and start to fall asleep to.
Okay, this was written in 1818, music by Franz Gruber,
Mm-hmm.
not Hans Gruber from Die Hard,
Yippee-ki-yay.
and words by Joseph Moore. Now, it was translated into English in 1859 by John Freeman Young, a priest in New York City's Trinity Church. Bing recorded his version on June 8th, 1942. And yeah, it's almost like a lullaby. I mean, I think when he sings Sleep in Heavenly Peace, that pretty much guarantees that you will fall asleep eventually.
Mm-hmm.
But Bing sings the first verse twice, and that's pretty much it.
Mm-hmm.
And I find his version solemn yet comforting. And I guess you have a more highly attuned ear than I do because I kind of found it calm throughout the whole
Okay.
thing. Now, per Billboard.com, at the end of 2017, Silent Night had been recorded 137,315 times,
Mm-hmm.
making it the most recorded Christmas song ever. And yes, the worst version is Stevie Nicks' From a Very Special Christmas. And the thing that got me was going on YouTube. I cannot believe how many people say Christmas is not complete without hearing Stevie's version.
And I'm like, really?
Yeah, I know, but
Don't you have an HJY story about that too?
yes, there's a local radio station, WHJY, who I hope they still keep up this tradition, would play Stevie's version of Silent Night, and they would incorporate sheep sounds in the background because they thought she kind of sounded like a sheep. And the way that they did it, they're not wrong.
Nope.
Paul, Al, if you're out there and you're listening, which you're probably not, I hope you guys keep doing that. The second worst version is by Nils Lofgren,
I didn't listen to that one.
currently Bruce Springsteen's guitarist. Well, here's the thing. He did a version in 1984, which I cannot find online,
Oh,
but I actually have it on cassette.
why?
Well, the thing was like at the time WBRU was playing an hour's worth of Christmas music during the lunchtime hours, so I just stuck a cassette in, hit record, and let it rip.
Okay.
And there were, for the most part, a lot of good songs. But his version, it sounds like he's the one who's going to fall asleep any second. But here's the thing. I can't find it online because he remade it, and the remake is actually better. And
Oh,
I think he
okay.
got like some family members involved or something. I don't know, but
Huh.
maybe he even realized, yeah, I think I can do this better, and he did. So good for him.
Okay.
Hands down, the oddest or creepiest version,
What?
the one that closes out "A Christmas Gift for You" from Phil Spector.
Oh, yeah, with Phil's voice.
Now, in case you guys out there are wondering, here's some more stats. Mariah Carey's "All I Want for Christmas Is You" has been recorded 13,419 times, and Wham's "Last Christmas" 17,806.
So nothing's gonna beat Silent Night.
No, I mean, White Christmas comes in second place with, I think it's like 125,000 versions. But again, this was at the end of 2017.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm sure all those amounts have increased.
And did you listen to the two-set violin one I sent
I
you?
did. Very, very nice. I liked it very much.
Next track, Aldeste Fidelis, known in English as O Come All Ye Faithful. Bing sings this twice, first in the original Latin, the second with the English translation, then the choir sings one of the verses and the track ends. This is one that feels the most like it was treated sacredly. It was done very respectfully and with honor. But those horns blast.
Mm.
I get that this is an old recording, but it always surprises me when contemporary technology can't reduce the sound for re releases. Reminds me of the Ames brothers' rendition of Good King Wenceslas when those trumpets just blast at you in a way that's almost painful. So if someone can remix this track with a better sound quality for the brass, that'd be much appreciated.
Hmm. I think maybe that's what they've got. It's mono recording,
Yeah.
and it's probably old as anything, and you can only do so much, I guess. Okay, so Adeste Fidelis kind of has a murky history when it comes to authorship. It could have been written by Saint Bonaventure in the 13th century, um, or it could have been written by King John IV of Portugal, or it could have been written by anonymous Cistercian monks.
Well, I know what we Portuguese stick by.
Mm. Now, originally it was in Latin. It was translated into English in 1751 by John Francis Wade. Frederick Oakley, a Roman Catholic convert, also gets credit for his translation, and his is the one that's most popular today.
Okay.
Now, Bing also recorded Adeste Fidelis on June 8th, 1942. He sings the first verse in Latin as only he can. It comes close to being crooned. Then he sings it in English. Now, Max Tur's mixed chorus then sings the third verse. They actually skip the second one. And then Bing decides he's going to put in an appearance when they get to the line, "Oh, come, let us adore him."
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I think they treat it very reverential, and I do have to agree. If Silent Night put you to sleep, those horns in Adeste Fidelis are going to wake you up.
Yep. Next track, White Christmas, the classic. Fun fact, in the Beatles documentary, Beatles 64, which is out on Disney Plus now, Mike and I watched it. He thought it was good. I thought it was just okay. George said he really liked this song. The interviewer was surprised because it wasn't a rock and roll track, and George basically went, "No, but it's a good song. Like, people can like different things, you know." Now, Dad and I both prefer the Drifters cover, which is always a fun time to listen to. But apparently, people in the comments on YouTube are really excited because there's a K-pop artist from BTS, I'm probably going to mispronounce the name, Taehyung, who will be duetting with Bing's version. So I think that'll be cool to hear when it comes out. But I think Bing's cover really meant the most when he sang it for NBC in 1941 and recorded it in 1943 because so many men serving overseas just wanted to be back home. No one's ever going to top Bing, but some great covers have been made, and that's because everyone does their own version to make it unique and fun to them. But Bing's original will always hold a place in the American zeitgeist of the 1940s.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we covered this more in depth on our first Bing podcast, so I'm
Yes.
just going to try and do a Cliff Notes version here. It was written in 1942 by nice Jewish boy Irving Berlin, and as my Jewish friend Andy says, his people wrote the best Christmas songs.
Yeah, he's not wrong.
And yeah, he's not wrong. So this was for the film Holiday Inn. It was recorded on May 29th, 1942, and released July 30th, 1942, yes, in the summer. And then it went on to sell 50 million copies. Now, it was re-recorded in 1947 due to the 1942 master being damaged due to frequent use.
Ooh.
But you can find the original 1942 version on Bing's The Ultimate Collection, which we covered in our previous Bing podcast. So it is out there. I think it was restored as best as modern technology could do it.
Mm-hmm.
Now, yeah, I'm pretty sure everyone's heard Bing's version at least once. And yeah, it's definitive. He did it first, he did it best, but that hasn't stopped people from doing their own versions. And there are tons of covers out there.
Oh
And,
yeah.
and like Juliet said, you can't beat the Drifters version. I mean, it's just so much fun. And then Darlene Love, she does a great version on the Phil Spector album.
Yeah.
And she sings the oft omitted verse about the shining sun and the green grass and the orange and palm trees swaying in Los Angeles.
Yeah. Next track, God Rest You Merry Gentlemen. I remember hearing this in Mom's Treasury of Christmas Classics.
Oh, the Time Life?
Yeah.
Yep.
And it always scared me because of how serious the key was they chose to set it in. And it's sung so seriously, it doesn't bring me comfort or joy. It's so solemn. Jesus is here to save us because we strayed and he's gonna defeat Satan. It conjures to mind the image of how the Koreans depict Jesus, where he's so buff he looks like he's gonna break free of the cross. Go Google it. It's kind of funny. Not one of my favorite Christmas carols, but Bing's voice fits the stern tone they're going for. And I listened to the Montavani arrangement that you sent me last night. And the first thing that popped into my mind when I heard that opening is it sounds like it got lifted off the soundtrack of Cecil B. DeMille's The Ten Commandments.
I could see that. I can definitely see that.
But that one gets a bit more optimistic as it goes on, so I like that one slightly better.
Mm-hmm. Okay, the origin of this song dates back to 1650 when it appeared as an anonymous manuscript. The first printed version came out in the 1760s. It was well known when Charles Dickens published A Christmas Carol because that's the song someone sings outside Scrooge's office, which causes Scrooge to, quote, seize the ruler with such energy of action that the singer fled in terror.
Yeah, ready to hit that kid.
Yep. He's going to hit him so hard that the numbers on the ruler were going to be implanted in his forehead.
Fun fact.
Anyway.
Sorry.
Oh, nope.
In the Muppet Christmas Carol version, they don't sing that. They sing Good King Wenceslas, and Michael Caine throws a Christmas wreath right at a little bunny's head.
Uh-huh.
Anyway.
Now, believe it or not, the title has caused comma placement controversy.
Oh, okay.
Okay. The comma is placed after the word ye. However, the phrase, God rest you merry, meant, may God grant you peace and happiness. And this dates back to 1534, and it appears in both Shakespeare's As You Like It and Romeo and Juliet. So there are those who feel that the comma should be placed after the word merry.
Okay.
Yeah, and there are those who think, no, it should be placed after ye. And then you just let them fight it out.
Not our fight.
I ran this by your mom, and she thinks it should be after the word merry.
I agree.
Anyway, Bing sings you instead of ye.
Which some people do.
Yeah, relying on William Sandy's 1833 lyrics. And I think his version's okay. It really didn't, jump out at me. Nothing really outstanding. And again, there's like a kabillion covers out there. The one that I think is definitive, probably because I grew up with it, I'm going with Montavani. I mean, It's like, it definitely has an epic feel to it where, you could definitely see this being played during the Ten Commandments, and everyone would be wondering, what the heck is this about? Are we a little early here with the prophecy or what? But it's huge. I mean, listen to it on headphones.
Next track, Faith of Our Fathers. Other than the trumpets being too loud again, this is a beautiful rendition of a hymn. In my opinion, it honors those who were martyrs for Christianity. And no, not those people who complain, oh, I can't say Merry Christmas anymore. Ooh. I'm talking about the martyrs who were stoned and persecuted for practicing their faith. A modern-day example now, I think, would be Christians who are trying to practice in North Korea. This hymn honors those martyrs in the spirit of believers who endeavor to preserve their faith by practicing it themselves and treating their fellow man equally and with love. A Christmas hymn I needed.
Okay, this was written in 1849 by Frederick William Faber, and per Wikipedia, in memory of Catholic martyrs from the time of the establishment of the Church of England by Henry VIII and Elizabeth I.
That makes sense.
So when I read that, I kind of look at this song as like being a middle finger to the Church of England, because the lyrics talk about people chained in prisons and they're living in dungeons, but they still have their faith and they will be true to that faith until death. And I think this really isn't a Christmas song, and I'm not sure how it made it on here.
But I love it.
But I'm assuming that Bing was probably very Roman Catholic, so he was going to be insistent that
Irish Roman Catholic.
Yeah, which there's only one thing more worse or stressful, or maybe two things, than being Irish Roman Catholic, Italian Roman Catholic, and Portuguese Roman Catholic.
Yep.
Those are the big three.
Yep.
So I'm thinking Bing was very insistent that this was going to make the final cut, or he was going to take off his belt and things were going to get harsh. But I listen to the song, and to me, it's kind of like the only clunker on here.
Really?
I mean, I can appreciate it, but I think the fact that it really doesn't have much to do with Christmas or
Well,
really
there's a lot of
anything to do with
Christmas songs that don't have a lot to do with
Well,
Christmas.
yeah, but I mean, we'll get to one or two of those a little, pretty soon. But I think, it kind of sounds like really depressing, I guess.
Okay.
Ah,
Next track, I'll Be Home for Christmas. Yeah, this song got to me. Written in 1943, this song hit for everyone fighting in World War II and their families, wondering if they'd ever get to celebrate Christmas together again. Now, the animated music video made years later on YouTube is a tribute to people who work in the service industry, flight attendants, taxi drivers, etc., and also first responders. It really hits home the point in a video essay I watched about how Christmas music is so old. Before these songs came out, there weren't really Christmas movies or songs in mass media. The only thing that really permeated the zeitgeist was A Christmas Carol by Charles Dickens. Then people were looking for comfort during wartime, and these songs were written. Wait, Christmas was written after Irving Berlin's son died around that time of year. And the reason we like these songs so much now is because they remind us of times when we were kids growing up and listening to these songs. And because of that nostalgia power, it's really hard for any new Christmas songs and movies to break through in the market, with the exception of Mariah Carey's All I Want for Christmas Is You. Anyway, beautiful rendition. I listen to his and Frank's and I get choked up.
mm-hmm. Okay. Before I get into my blah blah blah, I'd say that I think other songs out there
Oh, yeah.
that besides Mariah's that are um big Christmas songs these days. I
Run
mean,
DMC.
yeah, you got Christmas in Hollis. You've got,
Yep.
Last Christmas by Wham.
Yeah.
I'm gonna kind of go on a limb and say Christmas Wrapping by the Waitresses.
Oh, I love that song.
Yeah, I mean, there are a lot of modern Christmas songs that people have to hear every single year, even, yes,
Yeah.
Stevie Nicks Silent
And
Night.
and movies too. Look at Klaus on Netflix. That's amazing.
But I think also these songs now, I think the reason why a handful of them, of the modern songs, are really big is because, like you said, people grew up with them as kids, and they probably bring back certain memories, and they
Yep.
want to hear them every year.
Yep.
Okay, so I'll Be Home for Christmas was written by Kim Gannon, Walter Kent, and Buck Ram. Um, Buck Ram would go on to mastermind the Platters.
Okay.
Yeah, be nice.
Oh.
This was first recorded by Bing in 1943, and it's sung from the point of view of a soldier stationed overseas during World War II.
Yep.
He asks his family to have snow, mistletoe, and presents under the tree, and he may or may not be able to get home, but only in his dreams.
Yeah, and everybody starts bawling.
Oh, yeah, they were totally losing it. And it went on to become the most requested song during Christmas USO shows. And there are lots of versions out there, and yes, I have heard Frank's, but
Mm-hmm.
I think this is Bing's song all the way. Nothing against Frank.
Next track, Jingle Bells. I loved Frank's rendition for years with the I love those Jingle bells.
Doop, doop, doop.
Those holiday Jingle bells.
You know it, baby.
Those happy Jinglebells. I love those Jingle bells.
Which was great for Frank because, they did the heavy lifting and he could just walk in and sing whatever and then leave.
But I think Bing's is just that cut above. First of all, I think Bing was not above having some fun in a way that Frank slightly was. You get what I mean?
Yeah, kind of.
Yeah, like Bing is having genuine fun, whereas Frank is having a bit of nudge, nudge, wink, wink, smart ass fun.
Or kind of like, okay, I'm
I'm
contractually
contractually
obligated
obligated.
to do this.
Yep.
But then you got Dean, who just
Listen to his Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer and you'll hear what we mean.
that was another reason why he got that red nose.
Yep. But I do like Dean Martin's cover of Baby It's Cold Outside, because he and those three women are having fun like it was the 60s. That's not a ménage à trois, that's a ménage à quatre.
And then there's his version of Marshmallow World.
Haven't heard that.
Oh, highly, extremely recommended.
Anyway, Frank's feels a bit nudge, nudge, wink, wink, whereas Bing is just rolling with the vibe of the music and getting to sing with the Andrews sisters. Second, I love how the opening is the ringing of an old-fashioned telephone bell, and the piano plays staccato notes to match. We also hear the sound of hooves clip-clopping a bit. And then the Andrews sisters join, which causes Bing to have the hard job of singing harmony to a Christmas classic. Because you think Jingle Bells, you think the traditional melody. If some rando was to be stopped off the street and someone said, "Hey, can you harmonize to Jingle Bells?" They'd be like, "How the hell do I do that? I don't know." Then there's the point where they stop and cut themselves off before singing more, and then they come back in like a little musical tease, and I found myself giggling. I love this rendition so much. Michael Bublé rips it off, but the original is way better, and I think Dad will get into Michael Bublé in a minute, because I sent him an email after listening to this album of all the tracks where Bublé rips off Bing.
Mm-hmm. Okay, now this was written by James Lord Pierpont in Medford, Mass. In 1850. And he was the uncle of James Pierpont Morgan, who, yes, you know better as J.P. Morgan himself.
Oh, is that where they got J. Pierpont Finch for How to Succeed in Business Without Really Trying?
It's possible.
That wouldn't surprise me.
Okay, and so James Lord Pierpont was inducted into the Songwriters Hall of Fame in 1970, mostly on the strength of Jingle Bells.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the thing is, there's kind of a turf war concerning J.L. Pierpont between Massachusetts and Georgia.
Uh-oh.
Because eventually, old JL himself moved to Georgia because, hey, it's warmer year round and I've got enough of this Jingle Bells money where, hey. So Medford, Mass. Has a plaque that says, hey, he wrote this song here. And down in Georgia, there's a plaque that says, hey, the songwriter of Jingle Bells, he lived here. May not have necessarily wrote it down here, but yeah, he wrote it. He lived here.
And might not have been born here, but he lived here.
So it's kind of like, 1 degree of separation.
Okay.
Now, this song is one of those songs that it's a Christmas song, but it doesn't really mention Christmas at all in the lyrics. It's kind of more of a winter song where,
yeah.
But that doesn't mean that radio will play it, on December 26th or any time after.
Yeah.
And to me, like Jingle Bells, I can appreciate the sentiment behind it, but I'm going to be staying inside where it's warm instead of freezing my butt off in some sled with some horses that may or may not die on the sled pull.
Jeez, Dad.
That's the Leo Tolstoy in me. Anyway,
yeah.
There's a kabillion versions of Jingle Bells out there, and this one was recorded in September of 1943, and at the time, Bing teamed up with the Andrews sisters. They were a potent musical force during World War II, and they had teamed up for a lot of songs.
There's a whole album.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And I have a Andrews sisters 2-disc anthology, and Bing shows up quite a bit. Now, as for this version, yes, it is definitely very sprightly.
Mm-hmm.
Now, vocally, Bing and the Andrews sisters do something that drives me nuts.
What?
And I think we covered this a little bit in the Manhattan Transfer podcast.
Oh.
Where they try their darndest to be hip, like throwing in ad-libs here and there instead of sticking to the script, which, I can kind of...
But they're having fun and not in the way where the Manhattan Transfer was doing it like, we're better than you.
I think Bing and the Andrews were kind of like trying to relate to the young people out there.
I think they're just having fun.
And it's kind of cute that they try and they almost make it, but to me, not quite. I mean, I don't have a problem with it.
Mm-hmm.
I just get through it. But for me, though, more eye-rolling is Bublé's version with the Papini sisters, who... They actually call him Mr. Bublé.
Merry Christmas, girls. Merry Christmas, Mr. Bublé.
And I'm thinking, you couldn't call him Michael? Was that something he said, please, call me Mr. Bublé?
I don't know.
I don't know. I feel sorry for them.
He's also the one who ruined Santa Baby by doing Santa Buddy. 'Cause God forbid a man be attracted to Santa too, I guess.
Santa Buddy?
Yeah.
Did he slip a sable under the tree for him?
No, he asked for a sports car.
Slip a sports car under the...
Hold on, I'll Google the lyrics.
Oh, please don't. We have a podcast to do.
That's true, I'll inflict that pain on you later.
Oh, gee, thanks. Thanks
You're
a
welcome.
lot. Yeah, Merry Christmas to you, too. And people wonder why I'm so, bah humbuggy at this time of year. Anyway.
It's all Bublé's fault. Next track, Santa Claus is Coming to Town. I just hear this and I think of A Christmas Story where they're putting up the tree and it's playing in the background. The musical arrangement is like they're getting a parade ready for Santa. Although, the first time I heard the phrase in this song, Boyland, and I wondered, what the hell's Boyland? I think this was a case where they needed something that rhymed with Toyland.
Well, it's Girl and Boyland.
Oh, oops, my bad. Anyway, it's a bouncy cover, but this was never one of my favorite Christmas songs. The only rendition I like is Bruce Springsteen. And Bublé rips off Bing's as well, but again, I'm not a fan of that one either.
Hmm. So this was written in 1934 by J. Fred Coots
Mm-hmm.
and Haven Gillespie. It was first recorded by Harry Reiser and his orchestra in the same year.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's that line, he sees you when you're sleeping, he knows you, he knows when you're awake, which reminded me of that Calvin and Hobbes comic where Calvin asks something along the lines of, Santa, jolly old elf or CIA spook?
Mm-hmm.
And these days, Saint Nick could have been, he could claim to be the NSA before the NSA was the NSA. Anyway, yeah, there's like loads of covers out there. Um, I love the Crystals version from Phil Spector,
Mm-hmm.
but the one that definitely gets played a lot these days is Bruce Springsteen's version,
It's just so fun.
which it was originally recorded in 1975, and Bruceaholics out there, let me know when it first saw the light of day, because I know it was something that was really hard to get until I think they put it on the B side of My Hometown in 1984.
Oh, okay.
And I'm sure you Bruceaholics will correct me on that. But if you know when it first saw the light of day, please let me know, because I know you'd hear it on the radio for years, and everyone would think, "Boy, I really wish I could,
Buy this.
buy this." Yeah, because it's just great. It's a lot of fun.
Also, for Bublé with Santa Buddy, it's not a sable he slips under the tree. He asks Santa to slip a Rolex under the tree. But after that, the lyrics get more and more worse and more cringe, and I'm not going to read them.
Thank you.
You're
Anyway,
welcome.
as for Bing and the Andrews, once again they keep it sprightly, but once again vocally they wander from the script to ad lib or scat or whatever it is they're trying to do, and all I can say is, oi.
Next track, Silver Bells. I like the sound of Bing duetting with Carol Richards, who is an alto. They create a great sound together and their voices blend. The song kind of passed over me. I only really know the chorus. At the Christmas tree lighting in East Providence, the singer Manuel, he tried to get the audience to sing along with the chorus and make it a romantic duet. Like, put your arms around your girl and sing this song, but it didn't really work because nobody else really knows the words except for the chorus. Although I do like how the pizzicato of the strings were used to sound like snow falling and rushing footsteps patting the ground. It's Christmas time in the city, and that's all that really happens.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, song.
Yeah, it definitely sets the mood. This was written by Jay Livingston and Ray Evans. It was originally called, wait for it, Tinkle Bells, until Jay's first wife said, "Are you out of your mind? Do you know what the word tinkle is?" Yes, this was first recorded by Bing and Carol Richards in September of 1950. So I did a little bio of Carol. She was born June 6, 1922 in Harvard, Illinois, and she won a Bob Hope Talent Contest in her 20s and appeared
Wow.
on many TV shows. Her longest stint was on The Bob Crosby Show from 1953 to 1957, and yes, Bob was Bing's brother.
Mm-hmm.
Carol also supplied singing voices for movies and was a voice double. I don't know if that's the same thing as supplying a singing voice, but
Mm-hmm.
Wikipedia said she was also a voice double for most notably Sid Charisse for 5 of Sid's movies.
Wow, okay.
Carol retired in 1967 when she married her fifth husband, Edward Sweidler. She got it right on the fifth time because they stayed married for 40 years until Carol's death in 2007 of kidney failure, and she was 84 years old. Now, Carol singing with Bing kind of reminds me of Nancy singing with Frank on Something Stupid.
Okay, I could kind of hear it. I get what you're going for.
I mean, because it kind of sounds like not flat, but it's kind of like it just has like this even tone. Like she doesn't vary too much,
Mm-hmm.
like note wise. I'm not sure. I guess it's like a counterpoint to Bing's vocal,
Yeah, maybe.
if that's what you call it. But I mean, it's still a really good song. I don't have a problem with it. And yeah, I think it sets the mood of like, well, I guess back in the day you were out and about bustling in the city or the town or going downtown, which was a thing back in that day because that's
Trying
what
to
all
buy
the store
Christmas
was.
presents,
And
yeah.
then you were bustling in the mall, and now you're
Bustling online.
sort of, with everyone else hoping to get whatever before the website crashes, which I guess these days Amazon makes sure that that doesn't happen.
Or before they're out of stock. If you're not ordering from Amazon, you're ordering from some other website.
Now, as for me, the only bells I hear at Christmas is whoever's ringing for the Salvation Army outside of Shaw's or Stop and Shop.
Or the church bells at St. Margaret's down the street.
Yeah, but that's
That's not the same bells. I get what you mean.
It's pre-recorded. Where, I'll give the other people credit. You've got someone standing out there ringing the bell, and
Hmm.
everyone's walking by ignoring them. So I'll go up there and stuff a few bucks in the basket, bowl, whatever it's supposed to be.
Next track. It's beginning to look like Christmas.
A lot like.
Well, in the title that I saw, it didn't have a lot like, just the like Christmas.
Oh, okay. Well, there we go. Well, I stand corrected because I found one that said it's beginning to look a lot.
Wow.
Okay.
The intro is very sweeping, and they play a snippet of Jingle Bells at the beginning. And when we were in New Hampshire yesterday getting breakfast at Mary Ann's, we heard this same version play over the speakers. The music video made for this on YouTube is nice with clips from Bing's Christmas specials and a gold and white color scheme. But what's interesting is that the background singers have a better sound quality than Bing himself. And what I always love about this song is every time when they sing, "But the prettiest sight to see is the holly that will be on your own front door," saying that the holidays are lovely, but the best part of them is spending time with you, which warms my heart. I would almost say great song no matter who sings it, but I never liked Perry Como's. I love his rendition of Catch a Falling Star, and I love Impossible, but that one just feels like tongue-in-cheek, especially with one YouTube commenter nailing it with the parents laughing. It sounds like a snarky laughter like, "Heh, kids, you don't have that long before you have to go back to school. It's only 2 weeks."
Mm-hmm.
Whereas in college, you get a whole month because
Aha.
you need that whole month to recover.
Okay, this was written in 1951 by Meredith Willson, who wrote The Music Man.
Yep.
This was first recorded by Perry Como a month before Bing. So,
Ooh.
yeah. So, everywhere you go, Christmas stuff is up. But this was back in the day when you probably didn't have that stuff in the stores out in October.
Yeah.
And my favorite line, which you hit upon, is, "And Mom and Dad can hardly wait for school to start again." I remember those days.
Yeah.
Which, I love you and all, but it was like 4 days left, 3 days left, 2 days. See ya, bye, have fun. See you February vacation, then April vacation, then
Then summer
summer.
vacation. You gotta do
And then,
anything
yeah,
longer than that.
college. You're home for how long?
A
What?
month.
A month?
We need that time to recover after all the studying we've
I
done.
guess. Now, Bing's version is very croony and very smooth, and I like it. But, I'm going to have to disagree with you because I can't believe I'm saying this, but Perry Como's version is the one for me because I think
Really?
he and the Fontaine sisters are just like so into it. I think they have a lot of fun with it. And yeah, that moment that you mentioned where they have they're laughing crazily the second time they sing the mom and dad line. And yeah, someone on YouTube said it was sadistic laughter for mom and dad, but I think it's mom and dad slowly losing their marbles from the kids being home. Like, ha 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 ha, they're coming to take me away. Ha 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 ha. So their version is not to be missed. And to me, it I don't know if this is going to make sense. It sounds more musical, like Meredith Willson wrote it, so
Yeah.
he did the musical things. And Perry's version sounds like it came from some sort of musical. Where Bing's, like I said, it's more croony and smooth, and he definitely puts his own mark on it.
Correct. Next track, Christmas in Killarney. What is it with the brass being so loud? This song paints a lovely picture of celebrating Christmas in Ireland. And if you Google photos of Killarney during Christmas time, it is quite lovely with the parades and light displays. And who wouldn't love Christmas there? Everyone's dancing, you kiss your beau under the mistletoe, the priest blesses the house, and Santa Claus is one of the boys from home, of course. My one complaint is the backup singers. Bing, being an Irishman, inflects his words with a slight Irish brogue/lilt, but the backup singers sound so glaringly American when they sing the word Killarney. I'm sure if Bing wanted to, he could have totally hired some Irish singers. That wouldn't have been no problem. And then at one point, the backup singers try to imitate the sound of Celtic strings, which doesn't really work, especially when the string instruments sounded so lovely before. But this was a fun Christmas ditty, one I'd heard the melody of before, but not the words, and it was quite charming once I did hear the lyrics.
So this is written by John Redmond, James Kavanaugh, and Frank Weldon in 1950. And believe it or not, it was also featured in an obscure Rankin Bass 1981 Christmas special, The Leprechaun's Christmas Gold.
Oh my god.
Yep. So yeah, in the song, the holly's green, so is the ivy. Probably everything else is too because it is Ireland. And yes, it turns out that Santa's Irish too. Go figure. Though your mom feels that Santa is really, wait for it,
Polish?
North Polish.
Why North Polish?
North Pole.
Oh, ha ha.
Yes.
Very funny, Mom.
And it's a jaunty tune. I mean, they definitely get the Irish feel of it. down pretty well. And yes, Bring does bring out the Irish in his vocal. And always remember, kids, Killarney rhymes with Blarney.
Yeah, that's why they have that rhyme in the song.
There you go.
Final track, Mele Kalikimaka. All I could think of is the scene in Christmas Vacation where Clark Griswold is dreaming of the pool he wants to build for his family. Now, I remember in 4th grade, my classmate, Ashad, Ruben's nephew, was originally from Hawaii. And I knew he was homesick, so I said this to him once to wish him Merry Christmas, and he went, "Oh yeah, isn't that from that song?" I was mortified because I thought Bing lied to me, and they don't really say that down there. But doing a little bit on Wikipedia, it's a loan phrase, with the phrase Merry Christmas being adapted into something close in the native Hawaiian language. And it's a fun song for people who wish it wouldn't snow on Christmas and that they could escape to a tropical paradise and enjoy the holiday on a sunny beach. But what they did for the animated music video is bonkers, with Bing Crosby animated as the creepiest tiki statue I have ever seen in my life, leading to one of the comments saying, "My therapist, Bing Crosby Tiki can't hurt you." Bing Crosby Tiki staring you down with his eyes. I'll show you later.
I will have to look at that.
But this is a feel-good Christmas song that's different from most because it evokes the happiness of Christmas, also with the feeling of basking in summer sunshine, which I think is why it's still popular every year.
Oh yeah, this was written by Robert Alexander Anderson, who was born and lived in Hawaii, but he was still referred to as a Haole because
He's
not Hawaiian, even though he was born and raised there.
He's not descended from the native Hawaiians.
Right.
Yeah.
So get this: he was born in 1894 and died in 1995.
So he saw it become a state.
Yep, 1 week before he turned 101.
Wow.
Now, his primary way of making a living was he was a businessman, but he wrote songs on the side, even though he had no formal music education. It was like, hey, I feel like writing a song. Now, he wrote over he wrote over 1,000 Hawaiian songs.
Wow.
His biggest was a song called Lovely Hula Hands.
Okay.
And I'm pretty sure that Mele Kalikimaka was probably his number 2 song. He wrote it in 1949, and his golf partner, Bing, recorded it in 1950 as a surprise to Robert.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah. Now, as you said, Mele Kalikimaka is a loan phrase, which is something that's partly assimilated from one language into another. And if you look on Wikipedia, they have a breakdown of how Merry Christmas got transformed into Mele Kalikimaka in 5 easy steps.
Yep.
And now, here's the thing. The phrase has been around since 1904.
Okay.
So it's not like Robert invented it himself.
No. Yeah.
Now, the song is just 2 verses that explain how Mele Kalikimaka is Hawaii's way to say Merry Christmas to you. And for me, this is a fun song.
Yeah.
Bing and the Andrews sisters get it right with this one because they stick to the script. There's no wandering off.
Because it's for Bing's friend.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And for that, I thank them. And again, this is one of my favorite Christmas songs because I've been to Hawaii 5 times so far, and it's just my favorite place on earth.
Yep.
And
you're actually a respectful tourist, not an asshole tourist.
Oh, thank you. You know,
Like some Americans.
when in Rome.
Yeah.
And my goal someday is to actually spend Christmas in Hawaii, which gonna take a lot of convincing with your mom.
Yeah, but I think you guys have a good time.
And yes, if you watch Christmas Vacation every year, you know it's the song that they play during the swimming pool scene where Cousin Eddie transforms into the woman from the sales counter.
Yep.
And Clark is like, and then is it
Ruby Sue?
Ruby Sue comes and just breaks the spell.
But then you have a heartwarming scene after that with the two of them.
Yeah. All in all, this is a very solid Christmas album. And even though I have it, I'd say it's not really a must-have, but you at least do need Bing's version of White Christmas in your life.
Overall, I don't think I really appreciated Bing's Christmas music before we sat down to do this episode, because I'd hear him sing every year and not think too much of it. It's Christmas, of course you're going to hear his voice. But having to sit and listen to each sound and each song, I was moved by the sincerity and respect paid to the sacredness of the holiday, and also found myself laughing along with Bing due to the genuine fun he seemed to be having. So this holiday season, if you need a minute to slow down, put on this Bing CD and relax just a little bit before Christmas gets into gear. Thanks, Bing. Alright, as always, thank you for listening to the latest installment of My Dad Listens to This as we wrap up Season 6. Oh my god. Like, comment, subscribe, and all that jazz. Remember, the more you interact with the video, the greater chance we have of appearing on the YouTube homepage. If you're friends with my dad, tell him what you want to listen to, and they'll shoot an email to your inbox. Or if you follow me on social media, I post the episodes there as well. Thank you for listening to the season 6 finale. And my dad listens to this. We will be back in 2025 with more albums to nitpick and gripe about. Dad, anything you want to say before we sign off?
I might have said this last year, but I think this might be my personal tradition going forward.
Mm-hmm.
If I could work my will, every idiot who goes about with Merry Christmas on his lips should be boiled in his own pudding and buried with a stake of holly through his heart. He should. And on that note, Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, Happy Kwanzaa. For those of you who don't celebrate, Happy Wednesday. I think that's it.
And Happy New Year.
Yeah, that too.